Alright, what's going on YouTube? My name's Grant. This is my G35 Sedan. It's an automatic, but today we're going to be swapping out the differential. Doesn't change it from being an automatic. But anyways, the automatic cars, it has 3.3 final drive, and it's got an open diff as well. So I got this differential. It's from a 2008 G35. It was from a manual, and it's also an LSD, and it's got 3.7 final drive, and this one's got the 3.3 like I said. So first of all, I got it out and I drained the fluid. I was testing it out to make sure that it is a limited slip. So as you can see here, I'm going to rotate one of the wheels or axles. Pretty much simulates the same thing. So as I rotate one of the wheels, both of them move forward, and I can do the same thing from the drive shaft input place, whatever. And you can see when I move this, both of the wheels move in the same direction. So if we hop over to my car, you can see here, I'm going to rotate this wheel forward, and as you look at the other wheel, it's going to rotate backwards, which simulates the open differential. So that's the easiest way to tell what kind of differential you have, either it's limited slip or open. And right now my car's got the open diff, so it just doesn't grip as well, and the final drive should make it so it accelerates a lot quicker, along with having more grip with the wheels spinning at the same time. So yeah, it should be a pretty cool install. It should be a bolt-in place, but you know, that doesn't always work out. This is from a newer model, so I guess we'll see what happens. So. Alright, so here are the axle output flanges. These are just 14mm bolts. I did that with an extension and impact, and then one of these little joint things. And that kind of worked. It's better to use a short socket, but 14, which was a 1/2 inch. And then I went ahead and got these drive shaft bolts out. It's easier to get the bolt head than the nut, and then I just used a wrench on those. And then after that, I took these plastic pieces off, which bolt right here. There's like 3 bolts on each side, 10mm, and then you have access to the sway bar. And then I just dropped the sway bar. These are 14mm. And then, oh, and the drive shaft is 17mm, by the way. And then after that, I went around back, and right here is where there's sensors, and they're just a 12mm bolt, but you can't fit a wrench or a ratchet in here. So I just used a closed end of a wrench, and the ratcheting one worked really well on this side because the exhaust is here. So now I'm going to put the jack under here and then remove these 3 bolts, and then it should be ready to drop on out. So alright, so I forgot to film this part, but there's a mark on the drive shaft and on the input shaft of the differential, and so I marked the flange here and the drive shaft, so you can make sure these bolts line up next to the yellow one. So that's what I ended up doing. You can see the white line in the video in the clip before, or here's another clip of the white line that I marked, and that way you know on the new differential where to line those bolts up at. And also, before I put the other differential in, I swapped these sensors. So this is that 12mm bolt that I was talking about, and these sensors have a different plug, so I literally just took them off the differential that came out of the car and put them on the new differential, so that way they will have the same plug, because these are a little bit different on the newer models than the old models. So yeah, they bolt in the same spot and everything, so it's pretty easy to just swap those out. So in this part we're taking the differential out, and the main part is getting that stud that's in the top left of the differential out of the housing or out of the bolt hole there. So what we're doing is trying to slide it forward out of that so the stud can get out, and then we just slide it to the side and down just to avoid hitting the exhaust. So that's all we're really doing right here. Alright, so here we're putting the differential back in the car. Instead of jacking it up in there, Trevor just decided to lift that in there just because it's about 90 pounds and it's just a little bit easier to control it, getting it up in there. You just got to slide it past the exhaust there, and then once you get that stud back in that hole, it kind of will hold itself in there. You just got to make sure it doesn't fall forward. So that's what he's doing here, is just holding it while I'm putting some of those bolts in. And yeah, that's pretty much it. There's some washers that go on the mounts of the differential. You'll see them when you take it off, they kind of fall off, and so you just put those back on and put the bolt back in. And yeah, we just hand threaded them on there and then got the socket in there and tightened those up. So that's all we really did here. So in addition to the new differential having those different sensors that we swapped out, it also has a vacuum line, breather line on top of it, which the old models don't have. And so all we did was zip tie that up in there. We didn't block it off or anything, we just kind of left it open, and it hasn't leaked so far. I've been watching it, so I think it's just a breather valve or breather line, so we just zip tied that up in there. It's not too big of a deal. Alright guys, so we're here in my car. It's been a couple days since I installed this diff, and I'm really liking it. I think mathematically there's like a 10% difference in acceleration or something like that. I recorded my 0 to 60 times before and after the differential install, and before it was about 6.1 seconds, and after it's about 5.8 seconds. So 0.3 of a second is pretty good. It was pretty consistent at 6.1 before, and it's right around 5.8 now. So the reason that that's kind of high is because we're at about 4,500 feet or something like that, and we've only got 91 octane gas here. So that people have been talking about on the forums, they said that you'd have to swap the flanges, and apparently the newer models have a different number of teeth for the sensor that I was talking about, and it can throw off your speedometer and all that kind of stuff. But so far, I used a calculator online. I'm gonna throw some images up on the screen here, but my speeds have been pretty accurate with the ones used from the calculator. You put in your tire size and all that stuff, and it seems like it's pretty accurate. So yeah, we'll go ahead and do some runs here. But yeah, I don't think the speedometer is off. At first I thought it was because I didn't know how to use the calculator, but I think it's actually good. So yeah, but the LSD part of the differential install is, for being an automatic, I mean, it used to just spin one wheel if I were going around turns and stuff, but now it just grips up really hard. So I've got 230 or 245 tires all around, and they grip up really well now with this LSD. I mean, I can barely slide the tires if I want to, so I really like that aspect of it. And I got it sideways in a parking lot the other day, and it was really, I mean, it just handles really well now. I feel like any rear-wheel drive car should have this, especially places that live in the snow, because I would just spin one tire like crazy. So we're going to do a first gear pull real quick. So I purposely let it redline there. Hopefully it'll show it on the video, but second gear is right around 64 miles an hour. So I'll put up the statistics or the calculator images on the screen, and we'll see how close that is to what the speedometer is saying. But here, let's do another pull. We got some room to go right here. I'll go back in a second here. Yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I think the differential install is definitely something worth doing if you have an automatic or if you have a G35. I feel like it just allows you to use the power a little bit more, and your top speed really won't change at all, because you won't ever hit your top speed. So gearing wise, it's mostly the speed limit sensor on there. So yeah, I think that's about it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video.